Stories have been passed down for generations through oral traditions like songs, folk tales, and proverbs, and in written form through letters and books. Stories hold the essence of our culture. They are a record of our history and all other kinds of knowledge, from recipes to home remedies to life advice and so much more. In observance of World Storytelling Day 2025, we've decided to stop by the NSERD Library. We're inside the NSERD Library, and joining me now is Miss Petal Peters. She is the Acting Learning Resource Development Officer here at NSERD. And we're going to be chatting about the library. If you didn't know, NSERD has a library. And so Miss Petal is going to be telling us what the library has to offer.
Okay, so NSERD Library is located in the ground floor of NSERD building. And we provide services to teachers, students, teacher educators, Ministry of Education staff, and the public. And the main responsibility of NSERD Library is to support the development of curricula of various levels of education throughout Guyana.
Great. Now, what are the opening hours, the operating hours for the NSERD Library?
Okay, so we're open from 8:30 to 4 daily. That's Monday to Friday.
Great. And who is the NSERD Library for?
So it is for members of the public, students, teachers, educators, and staff of Ministry of Education.
Great. Now tell us, what is inside the NSERD Library like? Because at EduFM, our little ones, when they come to read for us and so on, they like to stop by the NSERD Library. So tell us what the library has to offer, especially for our younger ones.
Okay, so we have a variety of books. That is storybooks. We have novels for persons of all ages. We also have books in a wide variety of fields such as science, math, education, literature, philosophy. Also, we have a subscription with EBSCO, which provides a large variety of materials. That's books, journals, and other resources.
Great. And for persons who would like to get into contact with the NSERD Library, perhaps for a tour or an event of some sort, how do they reach out to you?
Okay, so they can contact us on 226-9966, or you can call my personal number, 690-1449.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ms. Petal, for chatting with us. Deep water. That's the theme for World Storytelling Day 2025. And while we can take it literally to highlight stories related to the oceans, seas, rivers, and lakes, we've decided to go the more in-depth and metaphorical route and explore the use of television and film to tell stories that depict the highs and lows of the human experience. Joining me today is Anastasia Shako Vantel, one of our Guyanese filmmakers. What's up, Annie? How are you?
I'm okay.
It's so nice to have you.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And happy World Storytelling Day, because I'm not sure if you recognize it, but you yourself are a storyteller with all of the stories and just the information that you share via filmmaking.
Yeah, it's a really incredible honor to have, this medium to express stories, things that people have lived, things that they have experienced, and I find it to be, an honorable thing to do, to be able to share these people's lives with them.
All right, so why filmmaking?
Well, like we were discussing, I love screens. I call myself a screen junkie. So I think since I was younger, sometimes my mother would ask me, "Oh, you want food or you want TV?" I said, "I want to watch TV." So I have always just loved television so much, and I think growing up when difficult times came, I found TV and movies, sitcoms to be like a refuge for me. So I thought, as I grew older, it could be a refuge for others. So yeah.
Okay, great. So what is it about the television and the shows and so on that you grew up watching? What is it about that you enjoyed so much that you wanted to do it yourself?
Well, I'm an introvert. So when I was growing up, I didn't have that many friends. So yeah. So I always found, TV to be, the friends I never had, the family I never had, and certain things that you may lack in your real life, you're able to experience through other people's stories, through characters that you see on TV. Like I really love Friends. Like I knew Friends from back to front, and they were like my friends. And it seems kind of hokey, but like somebody was saying that when you're in the worst states of your life, you actually turn to artists, people who give their life over to making something that really stabilizes people. And these shows that we had, they just spoke to me. Not necessarily that they had this great big message. It was just people being people, and you get to come home every afternoon and you're kind of liming with your friends. It's a lot happier than it sounds. But yeah, it was really just a good time with people that you're seeing every week on one specific day, but it was Friends nonetheless.
Yeah. So when did you first recognize that you wanted to pursue filmmaking as a career? How did that start?
So I started out doing, influencing stuff like, Facebook, YouTube, these shorts. I was really inspired by Superwoman, Lily Singh back then. Yeah,
she's gone on to do so many things now.
Yeah, so she was really inspirational to me at the time, and I was mostly a musician and singer for the first half of my life.
What instrument do you play?
Everything. Well,
what's everything?
Well, whatever I could have gotten my hands on at the time. So I was playing a lot in church. So I would either play the guitar or the piano or briefly the drums and and bass. But it's just like whenever there was a vacancy, I could have slipped in easily.
Yep.
But when it came to storytelling in the form of filmmaking, it wasn't something that I had really considered so much at the time, because we're in Guyana and like there weren't a lot of like these big films and so on. But I think now that I'm in the industry, I'm able to see the films that we did, but it was just not really publicized that well. But back then, I think I was just in a really rough place, and then as I was praying, the Lord was like, "Hey, pick up a camera." I'm like, "You're crazy," and and then I just tried it, and that's how the social media started. Some videos that I did went viral, and I was like, for what reason? And then when it started to grow up, I think I just kind of felt like I wanted to do something else. And then one of my friends was like, if you were actually gonna make a TV show, this is something I'd be into. And I was like, let's see. Then it was just something to experiencing at the time. I grew up in a very diverse place, and I just wanted to have a story that reflected, some of the great and the bad sides of, being in a diverse place with different ethnicities, and that's how Shades of Women Season 1 came about. And then from there, everything just kept going, because as the audience kept coming, I just really wanted to still create, because I saw the importance of not only having TV shows, but TV shows in a culture that you recognize. Because Jamaica or the States can't really do the stories the way we might experience it. Not that it won't be good, it's just it won't necessarily be in a Guyanese way.
It won't hit the same, it won't be authentic.
Yes, to the culture, and I think I really try to keep the culture as much as possible, as much as, as many races, as many different people, as many different walks of life, at least in animated productions. I think that's what we want to do, to showcase everybody so that every part of Guyana could feel included.
Definitely. Now, we're gonna get to Shades of Brown in just a bit, because we just concluded season 2. Congratulations. So we're gonna get to that in shortly. But let's talk about your journey through social media, because I remember Annie. That was my first introduction. Annie with the 3. Wait, what was it? It was some. Tell us what the 3 is, because Annie, if you look at the spelling, it's ANN 3 IE. So what is the 3?
Well, at the time, I would say I'm a very saved person. So the 3 was for the Trinity. But but in all fairness, there was a movie I saw at the time. The name of it was Band Slap, right?
Okay.
So the girl, her name was Sam with a 5 in it. So it was SA5M, right? And so that my cousin did, and I was like, I can do it too. So I did it too. And it just kind of stuck, and because Annie's a very popular name, and it's very common, everybody has Annie, but not everybody has a 3 in it. So
right.
Yeah. That's me.
that.
Good.
Manny with the 3. But yes, we're talking about social media. I remember seeing you doing those videos. I'm like, this girl is so funny. Telling all
Thank
of
you.
these guys
Oh my
these
gosh,
stories.
thank you.
Listen, telling these guys these stories that, yes, like you mentioned, there are stories that we hear from Americans and so on. But when you see somebody on screen doing something that you can relate to and it's very specific, like the power outages, for example.
Oh my
or
god.
some of those other
No,
things.
I have a story to tell you. So I was at the energy conference and then we came to the GPL booth and then the lady was like, hello, do not do any more videos with us. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
My goodness.
I feel like GPL had some of my biggest views and like there's a part we didn't know that they used to see it and that just confirmed it.
Yeah, but like, what was that like though when you had your first viral moment? Because indeed, I can imagine it does feel like that you're just doing these videos because it's something that you enjoy and it's kind of like an escape.
Yeah.
But what is it like now, especially as an introvert,
Yeah.
when you realize, oh wow, I'm not just putting this out into the abyss.
People are seeing.
seeing this. What did that feel like?
It was kind of jarring because when I first started, well, I didn't really think I was funny, right? I was just talking about things. I was talking about things that stressed me. I think my first video was types of annoying people, right?
I think I
So like that, like do not watch it. It's terrible looking. My tripod was like a teacup and like them really old cameras, like the ones that was actually like the square back one. Yeah. So when I think that video, it did kind of good. I think I was just surprised that anybody liked it. I think I had like 16 likes or something. I was like, what? Yeah, like this? But then like I think the first video that got the views, I think it was on, I can't even remember, but I knew it did well when I saw people from my class start to share it. Like, and then like everybody, they didn't treat me different. Like, oh my gosh, it was more like, hey, I see the video. That's pretty good. It's like, oh my gosh, thank you. But the viral one I would say was the GPO one. That was the first video I saw like 3-digit shares. Like, whoa. And it was like circulating like all around the country, and it was kind of jarring. But the people around me, that stayed pretty normal because they didn't really used to look. But it's the wider scape and like the UG videos also was something. Yeah, the UG videos were. I think even though I did not do what I went to study, I still must thank UG for starting my career. I must thank them. You guys did me a solid. Thank you.
Definitely. So you're doing all of these videos because I think that for many of us that was our first introduction to you. But now you've transitioned on to doing much bigger things.
Yeah.
Doing full series,
Stress.
full film. Yeah. What was that transition like? What prompted that transition and how was that experience?
Well, it was that same friend that said it. It just made me say, oh, I think I prayed and then I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna try it. So when I tried it, it just started with me because I used to work in Puerto Rico, and it's also a place that has a diverse population of people, and they had similar experiences there in other aspects of my life. So I just write down a story about like how I think racism will go in both cultures, and I didn't want to pull back any punches or make one side seem more sympathetic and the other side seem bad. So I just wanted to just put at least my version of the truth. And I didn't know it was going to hit as hard as it did, that people were going to say that, oh, this stuff I experienced. Oh, and also there were other stories that after I released the show, I see that we all had similar themes. So I now see, because at the time I couldn't really see it, I now see how relatable the story was and how much it was impactful to people who didn't really have the voice to see that XYZ was going on in their families. And the journey was pretty hard because I had no experience in filmmaking at the time. The only experience I had was the videos I used to do in my room. So I had contacted other thespians, and they were very gracious to me to be able to teach me. The first show I did, the first season Shades of Brown, was directed by Sonia Yard. But everything else after I guess I learned by fire. So everything else after that, I had to take up the mantle and learn from my mistakes and direct the other set. And it is a jarring experience, but I think once you're really passionate about something, you gotta learn quick. So yeah.
So let's talk about the behind the scenes, continuing on about the transition, because you started out doing your solo videos, but now to do a full television show,
Crazy.
that's a whole team. That's not just
Yeah.
you alone. You pick up a camera, you set up and you do your thing.
Yeah.
You gotta liaise with so many other people.
Yeah.
So tell us about what that process is like for somebody who might be watching and they're saying, you know, this girl is cool. I want to do that, but I'm not sure how.
Phew. Well, firstly, it's stressful. Let's just start there. It's really stressful, but I think when you're really passionate about something, I think you figure it out. Because when you're working with other people, there's gonna be problems. Teeth and tongue will bite. You're gonna have people might promise you things. People might say, "Oh, I'm gonna be here this time." People might say, "I'm gonna be there." You know, they don't show up, and like I think that's why I'm so versed in so many areas of filmmaking, because of somebody disappointed me or somebody didn't pull through with what they said, and it gets really, really hard at times. But when you're passionate about something, that supersedes everything. It helps you to also forgive people who might just want to just try it out, because a lot of people, they see it on TV and they're like, "Oh, I want to act," or "Oh, I want to do this," but they don't really have the commitment to see it through. So I would say to that person who really wants to be a filmmaker, right? Because to be a filmmaker, I think is different than wanting to be an actress or wanting to be a videographer. Because a filmmaker needs to think about and think about a story in total. So if you want to be a filmmaker, I would just say you will have to be really, really patient and have a lot of grace for people. And because you're working with people who, things are not perfect in their life. So if you're going to be entitled with them, it's going to be, they won't want to work with you again. You need to have a lot of patience and understanding with people. Sometimes people might tell me that, "Oh, you're too lenient," but I like to look at it as like, if you're building a bridge with you, we're going to continuously be able to walk over it. So if you keep burning bridges, like, "You're not doing this, you're not doing," if you keep doing that, people won't want to work with you. And I think that if you allow yourself to be gracious with people, I think you'll be able to keep a lot of relationships, because even if somebody can't really do something for you right now, it doesn't mean down the line, circumstances won't change. So I would just encourage that person to just build strong relationships, because I believe, right, that all the money in the world can't buy loyalty. It can't, right? So like, you will have some people that you probably have never paid, but they will still keep working. There's some people that you will pay that will just so I would just say build strong relationships. Let that be your priority. When you build strong relationships, you can do anything. Anything.
All right, so we've got the on-screen people, we've got the actors, they're the stars, and then we know we have
Divas.
and then we have the videographer, the persons who are working the camera. What other roles are there in making a full production come to fruition?
Oh, there are a lot more roles, girl. Well, you have the director aspect. I think because I have done, I do a lot, across the board, but, we have the director who's there to pull the whole story together, right? You have the producer, that's the person who either finds the money, or like, you can say they're like the biggest boss. So like the director works with the producer, everybody works with the producer. They're the ones who brought the whole project together, the videographers, everybody.
So you're the producer?
Yes, I'm the everything. No worries, not by choice. We want to diversify. So if you're a producer and looking, give me a call. Yeah. We have people like PA, production assistants. So you always need people who are willing to like go get this or go get that. Like sometimes you forget things. Like if we're on set and we're doing lines and then somebody forgot to bring a particular prop, they're the ones who like assist, move things around. We have the prop managers, we have the costume people. All these are things that we're supposed to have in film and even in theater, but because of the strange circumstances, you don't always get all of those people. So you would find like one person doing like 5-6 jobs. But like I said, when you're passionate, you just get it done. You find a way to get it done. But the most important ones, I think, when we have the actors and we have the backstage, the behind the scenes people, I think once we have those, we can have a show. Right. It may not be as smooth as the others, but you have a show, okay? You get something. Yeah. Yeah.
So what is it like working with your team for Shades of Brown? What is this team like?
Oh, this season, I think it was okay. It was okay. It was okay.
It's okay. All right, we'll stick with that one.
It's
It was
okay. It was
We
okay.
made it. Because we finished it.
That's it. That's it. We're here, but I'm still really grateful for what we managed to accomplish. I need to give a big shout out to Emmanuel Lawal. I think he was the behind the scenes person who was there since from the beginning to the end, and I really think that, you know, when you have that kind of loyalty with, you know, with people who are there to stick by through the roughest of storms, you know, you tend to build like really strong relationships with people. And I think that's cool, because I think that what we managed to produce, though not perfect, I really think that it brought out the message. And I was really happy to see the different people who were, you know, who sent me messages about how the show really impacted them with what their particular really dire situation was, and that really moved me. So the struggle was worth it.
Yeah. Now, so far, we've spoken about storytelling as a means of expressing and kind of showcasing certain cultural experiences that are specific to us as Guyanese. Because that's one role of storytelling, just showcasing culture. But another really important role that I think Shades of Brown showed up, especially in season 2, is the use of storytelling for advocacy. So tell us about that, because so Shades of Brown is all about essentially the race relations, to put it succinctly. But in season 2, we still have that. But this time around, I noticed that you've explored some more heavy topics.
Yeah.
So tell us about those topics, and how has it been using storytelling to address these issues?
Right. So I think the whole point of Shades of Brown season 1 was just for the racism aspect, to really just delve into that. And we also dealt with domestic abuse. We dealt with we touched on some church issues, and we touched a little bit on I won't say, we touched on issues, right? So in season 2, I just wanted to expand on things that we had mentioned in season 1. So the issues in the church and so on, I didn't want to go too in depth with it, but also I wanted to highlight issues that I know that happened, because I'm a church kid. So you hear stories, and you hear about things that weren't dealt with, and it really breaks your heart where you see people in positions of authority taking advantage of that. But I also wanted to show that they are still good people in church as well. So if I'm gonna do the bad side of something, I still think it's a responsibility to show the good side of it, because I think you'll be painting a really bad narrative. And we dealt also with sexual assault this season, which is a very heavy topic, and it's very relevant to what's happening today, not just in women but in men as well. And you know, not everybody has a place to talk about that and talk about how it really how those situations affected them. And because we live in Guyana, so we do have a hush culture where, like, when these things happen, you know, they say, oh, it didn't really happen, or they might just brush it off, and they don't really have a place to just say, hey, this thing happened to me. So when you know, people would reach out to me and tell me, oh, this thing really impacted me in this way, it really touched my heart, because that was the whole goal, that people have a space that they could sit down and talk about what really affected them. They could probably send somebody the episode and say, hey, this happened and this is how I felt, help me. So I try my best to not just make it something that people would just see. I collaborated with a therapist who I know that it wouldn't have gotten all the views in the world, but I just know that maybe 1 or 2 people who never had a chance to go to therapy, maybe they can't even afford therapy, you know, will be able to sit down and say, hey, what happened to me was really, really bad. And they will be able to see it through characters that in the scope of the show, at least they know that if they grab nothing else from the show, that what happened to them was a bad thing, and it should not be taken lightly, and they should seek help for it. So I was looking back at it, and I was really proud of that aspect, because I really think it came across, and it just wasn't all the laughter and fun, which was fun, but like I really think that the story, you know, reached the audience that it was supposed to, and I'm really proud of that.
So what has the response been to season 2 so far?
Well, as I was mentioning before, they just reached out about the issues that they were having. The only negative comment I got is that it's taking too long. I need the next episode.
Well, now that we're finished, those of us who like to binge watch,
Yes,
Mhm.
you can do that.
all of the episodes.
You can do that. Yes,
Where can we find the episodes of Shades of Brown?
you can find it on Animated Productions on Facebook and YouTube.
Okay, great.
Yes, that's Animated ANNIEMATED Productions.
So, what's next for Annie and Animated Productions?
Well, we want to continue telling stories. We want to continue breaking barriers and highlighting issues. We have Misadventure season 2, right? It's a little bit lighter. It's a lot more fun. It's like a coming of age story, but yet you're old. So
Oh,
so it's like it's a little bit of both. So we have that coming out this summer. So that's what's next for now.
for now. But what's next for Shades of Brown, though? Because we just had a
That's
riveting
crazy.
season 2. So what's next? Is there gonna be a what? I don't know. We'll come up
Yes,
with
they're
without
gonna,
spoiling anything. But
of
what's
course
next?
there's gonna be a season. There's gonna be a season 3 because the cliffhanger that we left y'all on.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Chest.
chest. Yeah.
Pain.
Yeah, so yeah, there's definitely gonna be season 3, but that might be more like year end next year. Because y'all have to give us time to film.
Oh, yeah.
Give us time, okay?
Definitely. So, just in case there's anybody who wants to get involved, maybe they want to lend their support, maybe they have a service that they can offer.
Yeah.
How do we reach you?
You can reach me via our Facebook page. It has my number, and you could also just DM the page directly, and we'll get back to you.
Wonderful.
Thank you in advance.
Yep. Well, Annie girl, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you on this World Storytelling Day 2025. Do you have any final closing remarks?
Love what you do. Make sure that you're passionate about it, and as you go, the right resources and the right people will find you.